Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Earthen's Den. This is going to be a very brief episode, but this is something that I just wanted to share with everybody. First and foremost, you got to know when to let go. I think so often we're always chasing after something, not recognizing that you really got to learn when to let that thing go. You know what I mean? And this is going to come into fruition, or you're going to get a better vision, and you're going to have more clarity and insight. And you got to leave provision for God in your life. You know, oftentimes we are so focused and fixated on making one thing happen, not recognizing that God has something so much better than what it is that you're after. And it oftentimes feels like giving up, and it's scary, and you start to doubt yourself. And most importantly, you start to question what other people are going to think. You start to feel like, man, am I selling out on my dream? You know what I mean? But the truth is that it was a better plan. And I don't know what it is, but it's like, I don't know if it's today's society or what it is, but I think it's just ego, really. But we have this thing to where it's like, we don't want to give up on what it is that we hold so dear to us. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to let it go. Because one, we don't believe that it's going to come, like something better is going to come into fruition. But it's crazy that we have such a hard time, and we are honestly so faithless, and we don't really believe that God has something better. All I can say is that I've let go one time in my life when I was really holding on dear to something. And I thought that was like the best thing since sliced bread. And I really thought that was like the one thing that, you know, was just going to take me to the next level. And though it was a connection, and though it was something that felt good, and it felt like it was meaningful and it was meant to be in my life, it wasn't. And there was something far more greater. And what I've learned too, but, you know, I tell you guys all the time, I've had a lot of jobs, you know, and what I found is every time I let go and I surrender, and, you know, oftentimes I thought it was me that was really doing a lot of shifting, but I realized that it was God. In a lot of those cases, you know, of course I was accountable because, you know, I wasn't like showing up on time, and, you know, I got fired. But, you know, in some situations, it was just the conversation that was had about me. And, you know, I felt like it was something that I was doing. And, you know, my family would tell me things like, you know, you're just messing your life up. You know, you all over the place. You need to be stable. Right. And this is really funny when I sit and think about it, because I'm only 23, but and I don't have a college degree. Right. So I had to really learn life from my own experiences. But nonetheless, and so we feel like it's something that we're doing wrong, but we don't even realize like we're on the right track. You know what I mean? And I just say that to say you got to learn when to let go of like whatever it is that you're holding so dear and so close to your heart that you can't even see straight. Like you can't even see what's in front of you because it doesn't fit in what you have your mind so fixated on. I didn't recognize this. I thought for me, it was one of those things to where it was like, I need to be focused, right? And I just got to a point in my life when I did learn to let go of this thing, right? I had to tell myself and reassure myself, and most importantly, fall back on God and his grace, and just that overall knowing within myself, that belief within myself. I told you guys in the last episode, like, I believe in my art, you know what I mean? And I felt like it was just a matter of time if it was going to be that. But, you know, even if I never hit a mill, even if I never hit six figures, even if I never enter into a different tax bracket, I'm so proud to say that I live in my truth and that I do what it is that I love. You know what I mean? I thought about my blog and I reflected on that, and, you know, how I used to just love writing. It was so much fun to me, just writing. I just get on there and I just would share my thoughts, you know, and when I noticed that people were impacted by it and they enjoyed it, I then tried to monetize off of it. And it was never that, you know, and I think this is a place where a lot of artists struggle too. It was never that you don't want to be paid for your art. But when we enter into that space, like when you're doing what it is that you love, you can't really put that in the same category as like monetization. You know what I mean? Like you really have to just focus on the craft and just focus on doing what it is that you love. And, you know, if it happens for you, it happens for you. But I think when we step into that space as artists and as creatives and as, you know, self-actualizing people, people who really know what it is that they want and they're passionate about it. I ain't gonna say passionate because I know that, you know, passion can sometimes be like deterring, but it's like a calling, and you know that it's effortless and you enjoy doing it. When we step into that space and we try to take control and we listen to other people and we feel like we gotta push a certain type of product, like that's not the space that is for us. And I noticed so many creatives shut down in that space and we start to doubt ourselves, but don't doubt yourself. Listen, when I wrote Seasons, I knew that I wrote that book with a higher level of consciousness. It took me so long to even sit back and read it. And even still now, I have a hard time reading it because that was my freaking life. That wasn't just some stuff I just put together for sales. Like, it was kind of hard to push my truth when that's who I am. That's me. You know what I mean? And it was like, I can't just be out here pushing this in everybody's hand just to get a couple sales. Like, that's really my life. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a memoir. It wasn't anything that was like, even though I felt like it was like a season in my life, obviously, it was stuff that I was still going through. And it was just so real and so raw. So it was like, I would try to push the sales and I would try to do these things, but I'm like, this is like a real body of work. Like, and this is just going to do what it's going to do. And I say, when you create from a higher level of consciousness and you put the right energy and the right intention into something that you've created, learn when to let go. You know what I mean? Learn when to have faith and have knowing. And I even think for myself, because I was still going through so much, when I wrote my book and I was still in certain seasons, though I had a timeline in my mind, like, hey, at the end of this book, I wrote about like abundance and just being, in this better space. And even though I wanted that, you know what I mean? And I still do want that, it wasn't on my timeline. You know what I mean? Like, because though I was going through it, it was like I had to then be vocal about it and I had to like sit with it and like really process it. And so it was just like, you just got to recognize like you're not really in control and don't let other people discourage you. I think the idea that once you make a certain type of thrift, like once you start making a lot of money or whatever it may be, it's an illusion. And it's so funny how people, I watch people try to convince themselves that, what they're doing is purposeful and what they're doing makes a difference in somebody's life. I think purpose, truthfully, in a like simplistic sense, is your ability to connect with others with your gifts and like what you do. You know what I mean? Like, so whatever it is that you do, it's your ability to connect with people in the ways that you do it. You know what I mean? And I just think, everybody's trying to convince themselves that they're on the right track and you're just not. And unfortunately, so many people have to go through that and see like, man, I'm not fulfilled. You know what I mean? I'm making this money, I'm doing this, but I'm really not fulfilled. And it's just a conversation that's just not had. And it's something that I think that a lot of people have to learn the hard way. And I think that it's just something that we just go through as humans and having this human experience. We really think that it's going to bring us, into the sense of fulfillment. And it's just not. You know what I mean? It's just not. And so you look at people. And I told you guys in the last episode, it was like you're so busy chasing after something, you don't realize just the many things that you missed along the way. And it's like you got to create your own American dream. And you got to really step into that space and be like, hey, what matters to me? And let me put these things first. You know what I mean? And let me create and let me do what it is that I love, because I know I'm going to get that return on my investment. I know that I'm going to reap that harvest from my labor, especially when I know I had good intentions. You know what I mean? You just don't want to do stuff just for the sake of doing it. And I think, you got time. I tell you guys, like I listen to Oprah Super Soul Sunday. I just love her so much. I really hope to meet her one day, but I don't know. And she talks about, the greatest thing that you can give yourself is time, and I just, just trying to take some time back, you know what I mean? And just really assess why you do what you do and just know, like, if I really put all my eggs in this basket and I'm not doing what really makes me happy, whether it's like, I don't know, pottery or like, if you're a social person, building those relationships, like I mentioned in the last episode, just know at the end of the day, like, just don't expect to have like a pot of happiness at the end of that road. You know what I mean? Like, expect your needs and everything to be taken care of, but don't expect that that's going to bring you fulfillment. And just be honest with yourself if you're going to be doing stuff, because you do got to provide for yourself. You know what I mean? Just be honest about it and leave room for your purpose and leave room for the things that really matter in your life to come to you. Don't have such a fixated perception to where you can't see nothing outside of your blinders and what it is that you're after because you are so in tunnel vision, and I didn't recognize that, but I realized that created so much resistance in my life, and that just stifled me from growing and from being a better person, because it was that piece right there that I was always missing. You know what I mean? It was that right there that I was always missing. And, when you really are in a tunnel vision, you're not really growing because you're not allowing experiences to come to you, and you're not welcoming them, and you're not going through them. Most importantly, when you're in tunnel vision, it's like you got the same perception about everything that you've always had. And so you're not really seeing things differently. And though I've learned, like, from our readers out there, you can read as many books as you possibly want to, and you can be knowledgeable on certain areas. But honey, life has to be lived. You know what I mean? And though we read the books and we listen to these people, and, I tell you guys all the time, don't put me in that space. I don't want to be in that space. Like, because what I'm saying and everything that I feel like I know and I'm experiencing is something that's within all of us. You know what I mean? Tap into your own truth and stand in that. But I do step into that. Like, I am thankful, like, humbly, I'm like thankful. But, and just know that even those experiences from books and podcasts, like, it's other people's experiences. You know what I mean? And just know that, and just really, like, try to sit with that, and just know, like, you really got to live life. You have to really go through certain things, and you really have to make, like, now don't get me wrong, if you read something that's like, hey, don't do this, and then you're like, okay, yeah, because you can always learn from other people. But at the end of the day, life is truly to be lived. And I just want to leave a little side note. I think I was going to put this in another podcast, but I don't know, it just kind of came up, so I'm going to just say it. For people who are dealing with mental illness, and if you've ever been suicidal or had suicidal thoughts, and it's something that kind of reoccurs, and you can't talk to people about it because people try to, think that you are crazy and try to put you in an asylum and try to medicate you and just X, Y, and Z. Just know that when it comes to that, you got to make a choice to live. I sat here in my life, and, for a good deal, you guys, like I said, you read seasons, you're going to know, like, your girl's been through some stuff. But, I realized that in the end, it was like making a decision to live. And though I've experienced some really hard losses in my life, and, grief and just sadness and ego death and, all of these things, like, it was really painful. But through that, I grew. And the truth is that life is just pain. I don't think you can have life without pain. There is no life without pain, right? It's pain that strengthens us. But God suffered. And I just think that the highs are so worth it. The connections, the laughter, the joy, the moments that are just so adventurous and spontaneous, the lessons that we learn the hard way. I have a great sense of humor, so I definitely think that that's something that carries me through this life. Shout out to my mom. She's great for that. Like, she's super positive. But, make a choice to live. And, you gotta know that it's just life, and it'll never stop being that. You're gonna have losses, you're gonna lose, you're gonna fail. And that's just what it is. It's all things encompassing. But the beautiful thing about life is, like, even just seeing life, I have a niece on the way, and oh man, it brings tears to my eyes. I'm like, man, I want to live. Like, I really want to, you know what I mean? Like, life is just so beautiful. And I just think, never feel like, now don't feel like that. You know what I mean? You take losses and it's defeat, but just know that it is that right there that makes you 10 times stronger for whatever is ahead of you. You know what I mean? And you can always get through it because you're getting through it now. So oftentimes we do need that validation from ourselves. And if you can't get it from somebody that you trust and somebody that you can confide in, who really sees you, definitely don't be afraid to reach out to people and just try to have that conversation. You never know. I think sometimes us being truthful about certain things, I know it's worked in my life, has definitely opened up that passage and that connection for me to really connect with other people, and for me to have, like, a real strong support system. But of course, you got to be discerning. Not everybody is welcoming in those spaces in your life and in your heart, because that's something that's true to you and it's something that you're dealing with. But you know that, right? Like, you can feel it in your energy. If it's one of those energy, like, oh, I don't know, you know what I mean? Then yeah, you probably shouldn't. But I just wanted to get on here and say that. So I don't really know what I'm going to title this podcast, quite frankly. This was just something that I just was thinking about, and I just wanted to just kind of get on here and say, I don't know, maybe we'll title this one Freedom. I love music so much. I was listening to some music this morning, and it was like a shuffle. It went from, like, Jay-Z to, like, J. Cole, which is crazy because, they're on the same. Anyways, I was listening to Apparently, and one of the things I just love about music is that artists have such a way of vocalizing what it is that they're feeling. To me, that is so magnificent. And I love being a part of this life to witness it, because I just think, wow, music is something that really speaks to my soul. Like, it's crazy because, I've always been the shy, self-spoken person. And quite frankly, I've always been better at expressing myself emotionally through writing, because I can really feel it and, get it out in that way. I don't know why, but like, I've never been good at expressing myself emotionally in a way that's like articulately, you know what I mean? Like, it was like I could always write it, but I couldn't always say it. And so when I listen to artists and I'm like, dang, how did he put those words like that? Or how did they form down lyrics like that? And then it's like the beat just is so mellow in my soul, and it makes me want to dance, or it makes me feel something. And I just love that, So, yeah, I was listening to that, and I think, in the end, it's like we all want to do what it is that we love, and we want to be free in that sense. But I think, it's just being real with yourself, you guys. Like I said, like, if I never hit those things, I would be so content with my life. You know what I mean? Because it was like I really was true, and I did what it is that I loved, and I have people around me that love me and ground me and that I trust. You know what I mean? And that to me is like so priceless. And I think when you step into this space, like in this economy and in America, it's like, oh man, something's wrong with you. You know what I mean? And I had to realize that everybody's not going to get it. You know what I mean? Everybody's not going to get it, because it's a different type of space that you tap into, man, when you really do what it is that you love. I can't stress it enough. Like, man, it's crazy. I really hope to write a book about it, you guys, and really explain it in a way that can be understood by everybody. And I'm going to break it down so simple, because I'm telling you, man, I think that right there is the freedom. You know what I mean? But of course, we don't want to have to worry about finances and things like that. But I don't really want to get too much into that. I don't want to go too far left. This podcast was already longer than what I expected or intended. So I'm going to leave everybody with their thoughts, and I hope everybody has a great day.